Madam Speaker, Scripture reminds us in John 4:44 that a prophet has no honor in his own country. Today I rise from Arthur Nelson's country. I rise as a daughter of St. James, the same soil that shaped Arthur Nelson, the same parish that knew him, the same communities that witnessed his service, and the same people whose lives were touched by his work. Perhaps that is why I feel a special responsibility today. Because if Scripture warns us that those closest to us sometimes fail to honor their, then let it never be said that St. James failed to honor Arthur Nelson in this house. As the only PNP member currently representing the people of St. James in this honorable house, I am humbled to stand on behalf of his country, St. James, to give one of our own his flowers. This is not Camelot, Madam Speaker, but on behalf of St. James, I hail our King Arthur. I hail him not because he wore a crown, but because he wore the confidence of his people with dignity. Kings are remembered for the kingdoms they built. Arthur Nelson should be remembered for the communities he strengthened. That is a legacy I wish to honor today. Madam Speaker, much has rightly been said about Arthur Nelson's accomplishments, his years of service, and the many tangible contributions he made to St. James and to Jamaica. Those achievements deserve contributions he made about Arthur Nelson's accomplishments, his years of service, and the many tangible contributions he made to St. James and to Jamaica. Those achievements deserve to be remembered and celebrated. As O. Dave Allen of West Central St. James so thoughtfully catalogued in a brief prepared for me today, Arthur Nelson's record of service is both extensive and impactful. But if I may, I wish to spend my 3 minutes reflecting not simply on what Arthur Nelson did, but on what his life meant. Because long after offices are vacated, projects are completed, and titles are laid aside, it is a meaning, a life that endures afterwards. Like many Jamaicans of my generation, I grew up hearing about Arthur Nelson long before I ever had the privilege of meeting him. I've also been told of his humility. As Mark Goldin, the member from South St. Andrew said earlier, an MP from the West who diligently took the bus to Kingston, traveling alongside everyday Jamaicans. What better way to understand the Jamaican spirit and needs than among the people themselves? That humility was reflected in the work he was able to do. Over the last few years, however, I had the pleasure of seeing him and Mistress Barbara Nelson at our constituency conferences and party events. It always brought me joy to see someone who had already given so much to public life still finding joy in the party, in the comrades, and among the people he loved. I also admired the legend from afar, and I was grateful to meet the gentleman behind the legend. For those of us who represent St. James, Arthur Nelson's legacy reaches far beyond the boundaries of West Central. He belonged to all of us in Western Jamaica. He served during a defining period in our region's development when Montego Bay and Western Jamaica experienced unprecedented investment in roads, housing, water systems, sewage, sports facilities, schools, community infrastructure. The glory days have left us behind. Those investments helped shape the Montego Bay we know today and strengthened the foundation upon which Jamaica's second city proudly stands. But if we remember only what Arthur Nelson built, we will have honored his work. If we understand why he built, then we will have honored his legacy. Because roads are never just roads. Water is never just water. Housing is never just housing. Development is just never only concrete. It is dignity. It tells a farmer he can get his produce to market. It tells a child that her future is worth investing in. It tells a family that where they live should never determine the opportunities they receive. That, Madam Speaker, is what Arthur Nelson understood. Arthur Nelson belonged to a generation of leaders who helped ensure that Western Jamaica was never treated as the edge of the island, but as an essential part of Jamaica's future. Because of leaders like him, St. James does not simply carry the title of Jamaica's second city. We earned it. Every generation of public representatives serves under different circumstances. The challenges are different, the expectations are different, the methods may be different, but the responsibility remains the same: to stand for our people, to widen opportunity, to strengthen our communities, and to leave Jamaica better than we found it. That is the inheritance Arthur Nelson leaves to those of us who now have the privilege of serving in this honourable house. Today, we also honour the man beyond the MP, to Mistress Nelson, to Mark, to Andrea, to Sean, to Blossom, to his nieces, nephews, relatives, and to the entire Nelson family. Thank you for sharing him with St. James, with the PNP, and with Jamaica. Madam Speaker, there is a saying that we should give people their flowers while they are here. Today, although we mourn his passing, we also give Arthur Nelson the honour that is his due. As a girl from St. James, it has been one of the greatest privileges of my public life so far to stand in this honourable house and to, on behalf of this country, say thank you and hail King Arthur. Thank you.
Members, turn your